Hello, and welcome everyone to the Call to Action podcast. It's your girl, Denny Joy here, hanging out with my sweet girl, Miss Alex Max. What up? What is up, Alex? I can't talk. I haven't had enough water today. Holy moly, it's going to be a good show.
Well, I was doing quite a bit of celebratory drinking last night. Super grateful. I'm so amazed by that. So, by the way, thank you guys so much. We love you guys. We love being part of this amazing, wonderful community. So thank you so much for last night, by the way. But as a result, I didn't feel super hydrated this morning. I wonder why. And this is like my 10th bottle today.
Yeah, I have my gallon of water right here. It's almost out, but trying. Hashtag trying. Oh my goodness. Alex, I am super excited to be here on this Saturday. Where is all of this time going? Saturday is here, and now that season 7 of the Schmodown is officially over after last night's awards, it's officially in the books. We're all done, y'all. We are getting ready to get into season 8, Schmodown War. Woo!
Oh my gosh. It's gonna be terrifying, and I'm so excited. And we're gonna have some serious soldiers, it's gonna be drafted, for the first time this season. So I'm excited to see how this is gonna play out for sure.
Me too. I'm super pumped. So I'm also glad that we have a few people that were on the draft list. I told you this is going to be great today, y'all. A few people that were on the draft list. Draft list that we have coming in tonight. That we have.
It's Saturday. It's all good. It's a Saturday. What is anything, honestly?
Oh my goodness, what is it? But all right, let's just get to this. We are super excited to start the show. So let's bring on our first guest, Alex Mack. I'll let you introduce him.
Okay. So these are people I'm sure you are incredibly familiar with already. They're super amazing. We have Miss Taylor, we have Jacob. These are people that have, one of them actually has been in Schmodown before, but it's been a little bit of a minute. So guys, please bring them on up.
I'm so sorry. Wow. I don't know what button she pushed, but she accidentally left the room. So welcome to two-time award-winning podcast. So we have nothing but technical difficulties, and we have had them.
I don't know what just happened just now. It just I don't know what happened.
It is all good
for a minute. I'm scared now.
Well,
Taylor and Jacob.
Hello.
Hello. It's good to be here. I'm really excited to be here and talk Schmodown and hopefully big ourselves up a bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we're super pumped to have you on. And like Alex said, whenever she was introducing y'all before she left us, Taylor, you have had an opportunity to play inside of the Schmodown before. And Jacob, we know that you have been creating content about the Schmodown before. So you all are both longtime fans of the Schmodown. How excited are you to be on this draft list?
I'm pretty over the moon. I was a little shocked. And I'm really excited that I'm finally getting the opportunity, hopefully, to actually be within this league. So one step closer to being in this league, something I've wanted for years. I was meant to be in a free-for-all a while ago, but just logistics and it just couldn't work out. And it was a bit disappointing that I wasn't able to get over there. But hopefully now with COVID, I'm able to participate more, and I'm really excited, and I hope a manager drafts me.
Yeah, it's been a while. I have competed in the league before. I've done a free-for-all and won Intergeeked and Fatal 5-Way before. And I just kind of feel like I have a lot of unfinished business to do since I didn't get to really compete again in that season. And then I kind of moved to a different country, so the logistics of doing that again kind of shifted a little bit. But now, like Jacob said, with it being online and having COVID kind of shift things around a bit, we're hoping to get into the league this season.
Real quick, I'm kind of curious. Like you guys said, you guys have a very unique relationship. You guys are like a Schmodown draft couple. You know, and I say that as someone that is 100% also in a schmodown couple, like not officially a schmodown, but I mean, like this is something both my husband and I are obsessed with schmodown. Like I snuck away from my wedding to watch a schmodown match in the bathroom because, you know, priorities. And you know, it's definitely a dominant part of our life. So is this something that you feel at Shimoda, do you feel like it's a very dominant aspect of like when you guys chat throughout the day, or do you guys like watch matches together, or do you guys kind of do your own thing?
We definitely watch matches together when we do. It's definitely has that place in both of our hearts, just because without it we wouldn't have met. So it's without
very important.
Yeah, it's without the Schmodown, we're not together. So it is a very and extremely important part of our lives. And you know, and watching it together, and I like, depending on our schedules, because the problem is I work from home and am able to work with and even when I don't work from home, I'm able to work with headphones on, and I can use my phone a lot. Whereas with where you work, you're not really able to do that at all. So
I have a lot less opportunity to watch matches as they drop, just because of the time difference. And he's more able to have access to them. But when we do watch them together, we're very much trying to beat each other with the questions. And we do talk a lot about the league, just because we have so many friends in the league from watching it for so many years. And with me going to a lot of events over the years, with you having been part of Take 3 and meeting people that way, it's really like for the last 3 or 4 years, it's been a huge staple in both of our lives in so many different ways.
Right. So if you all were drafted onto the same faction, would you all consider being a team together?
Yes, but it would also come down to whether or not Christian wants us to be a team, considering we're online. I know Christian's not a big fan of doing online teams. So, and that, like, I'm not putting up my hopes into getting into a team anytime soon, just because I'm an international rookie, and Christian's pretty much said rookies and international players aren't really going to be considered for any real opportunities to get belts or teams, just because he doesn't want to do online, which to me is actually, and a lot of rookies are seeing that as a negative, and I'm actually seeing it as a massive positive, because it gives me an entire year to really hone in my skill and learn and learn from managers.
And I agree with that. I don't know if teams is 100% the right thing to jump into right away, but it always has kind of been a goal of mine that if I veer away from Intergeekdom, I would like to do it in a team. I think I could do well in the singles league, but I feel like teams would probably suit me a little better, and it's always been kind of something I've had my eye on, but I think that'll probably have to wait until we get back over to the good old US of A, and then we can have a look at that.
Well, something I'm a little curious about is that, you know, obviously Taylor, when you did play in a handful of the IG matches, you always were like really great with the costumes, the entrances. You were like doing, you know, you're very much a performer, like that much is clear. Do you, if you were to be drafted and put into matches, regardless of the division it may be, is that something that you would regret not being able to participate in? Or would you be like, you know what, I'm going to try to figure out anyway?
Yeah, I definitely think that's a big part of it for me personally. I've always been that fan that looks forward to seeing what the entrances are going to look like, especially with competitors who really go all in. Like getting to be a part of Brianne Chandler's free-for-all entrance one year was kind of like a highlight of my life. But just that kind of theatrics is really appealing to me, and I like trying to be a part of that in any way I can. So if I'm competing from my couch, I'm still going to try and look in my closet, see what I can throw together, just because I think it's so much fun. It's such a good way to not only set yourself apart a little bit, but also just really shows, you know, what your love of movies can look like. Cosplay is such a huge part of that for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be neat to see anyone like doing cosplay online. That would be a lot of fun. Jacob, we've seen a lot of y'all going on to other shows and stuff like that, introducing yourselves to the managers, all of that good, great stuff. It's very nice to see all of y'all get around. So what I've seen you say the most, Jacob, is that what you're looking forward to for this season is getting to learn from your faction, from your manager, and getting to know this game more. Who do you want to be on a faction with? Not a manager, but like what teammates could you see yourself learning the most from, or that you would want to learn the most from?
So someone who I'd like to really learn, who I think could actually be a really good mentor and teacher is someone like Rook or even Bibiani, these players who have this wealth of knowledge of just movies knowledge. I'm not so much wanting to learn the game because I know the game pretty well. It's study techniques and movie and just like random bits of movie trivia that they know that I can maybe remember as well. Like it's that sort of stuff is what I'm trying to learn. A manager and even just a manager who I think would be amazing is Sam Levine and Rachel as well. Like I think both of those would be incredible to work under because they are really good teachers. But there are so many other managers as well who are also really good teachers and who are great and you can see it in their players who they've elevated players that weren't fantastic in previous years, but have really shined. I mean, Snyder is one of the best examples with Roxy. She has completely taken him to another level. Snyder was never the level of player he is now. When I was watching and analyzing, Snyder was always a mid-tier player, and now look at him, he just won Player of the Year, and deservedly so. So,
tier competitor, sir. How dare you?
He was though about 3 years ago.
3 years ago, JTE was the one who was elevating him.
Yeah,
not Snyder.
Crazy time to think about. Oh my god!
I'm talking this is back when I was actually an analyst, which is 2017. So
JTE was the scary one on that team back in the day. So it is amazing to see. You're right. That is a good point.
You're not kidding though. I mean, it's amazing how being with the right manager or being with the right teammate or just mentor in general, how much of a difference that can really transform a competitor. What are some manager competitors do you feel like had the best, not so much comeback story, but really revamp as far as their Schmoedown career goes?
So I think I went into last year and I thought someone who I didn't think was going to do very well because I also thought she had the world's biggest weakness, and that was Shannon. She had the biggest weakness in that her biggest liability was Mike. No matter what, someone could play Mike against her because without Mike, she wasn't going to compete, or it was always obvious that she would do anything to get Mike into her faction. So I thought that was a huge weakness for a manager to have. This year, she overperformed beyond anyone's expectations, and came out as manager of the year, and deservingly so. So she's someone who I think is very much elevated to a point that you weren't expecting at all.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't think anyone else saw that coming for sure.
And what Shannon did very well also was her character work. She really showed up that heel. So going into the Schmoedown, your character work is going to be another important aspect of it. It's hard to do it online. So for both of y'all, for Taylor especially, do you have an idea of a sort of character that you're trying to work with inside of the Schmoedown?
For me, I think it depends a lot on if I get drafted, who I get drafted by. I know a lot of these managers and a lot of these teams kind of have a vision in their head of what they want their faction to look like, or how many people in their faction they want to have being a certain way. And there's a lot of storylines that work into all of this that makes it as great as it is. And for me, I think the biggest challenge would be going into a faction that wants me to be a heel. That to me is kind of the most opposite of where I would gravitate to personally. But I think something like that would be the most exciting for me because it's the farthest away from where I would naturally go. If anyone has watched the matches that I've been in, that's just not naturally who I am. That's not naturally what I would choose to be on camera. So I think for me, it's more just kind of being open to whatever management, if I do end up with someone, what their vision is, and really being willing to work on where they see it going.
Yeah. What about you, Jacob?
I mean, character is something that I have to work on the most. That's the thing that, if there's anything that is going to cost me a spot getting it into the Schmodown, it's the fact that my character work isn't fantastic.
Jacob is not an actor, like
No,
a lot of us are.
No, I'm definitely not an actor. So, you know, I'm someone who is very much would like to go into the league and let my and basically let my performance do the talking. And this is who I am. Take it or leave it. But I think also with the right manager, they'll be able to grab certain elements of me and go, okay, this is what and really help me improve to make myself a character that is engaging and people can really enjoy. So I think that takes the right manager to do. And I think that majority of these managers, that's their biggest asset, is they're able to find, okay, you would be great as a heel or you would be great as a face. And as long as someone's willing and helping to teach me and learn, I will try anything. As much of an idiot as it makes me look, I will try anything.
And you know, we've seen a lot of players thrive in this league without having any sort of shtick to them. So just I like what you said, just letting your knowledge just prove your point and all of that good stuff. So,
but also I can think of so many character turns that I was like, oh, I did not know how much I needed this until now. And one prime example would be Laura Kelly. When she did that heel turn and lit up that red lightsaber going into the Star Wars tournament this season, I was like, oh, girl, I need this so much right now. Thank you. And I said that as someone that's not a huge Star Wars person, but I was like, you know what? I care significantly more right now. So I loved it. It just seems so different for her. And I love it when it's just so unexpected.
Yeah.
Outside their wheelhouse for sure. Is there any particular, because I know we talked about a little bit about character work and everything. I kind of want to know from you guys, what are every new season, new categories are added, removed? Are there any particular categories that you would love to see added to the Schmodown roster? Whether it be SRIG or, you know, singles, Star Wars, whatever it might be.
So in singles, I mean, I'm a big movie release dates person. Like I love release dates, but I'm really trying to learn more and more about getting to like directors and trying to get into knowing the directors list. So we were sent out the list of categories the other day, and I've gone through and made an entire document just of every movie that I'm going to have to try and watch to get and trying to create my study document. So there's not really any extra categories that, like, my strengths are already categories, which I'm thankful for. I mean, obviously, you know, Disney animation, something that like a specific actual Disney theatrically released animated films, that would be a great category because there's 56 of them and I would absolutely destroy in all of them. But other than that, that's, you know, I don't really love that animation is, hey, here is everything from DreamWorks, Pixar, Disney, everything. I would love the specifics.
Yeah.
Well, that's something I would love to see, a Don Bluth slice.
Yeah. Yes, that would be good.
Or
that
DreamWorks animation slice. Disney, come on. Like, they have their own studios. Let's get another studio win there.
But that's my point, is like I'm not the biggest fan of the fact that the animation slice is everything. Huge. It's not, hey, there's a DreamWorks slice, there's a Disney theatrical, there's a Pixar, I kind of would rather let's expand it, not just make it broad.
Absolutely. What about you, Taylor? Any IG categories you would love to see added one day?
And
is it the Predator / Alien franchise?
I mean, that's That's
I would love to
always,
see it.
that's always the correct answer. So I'm going to say yes. I do think there's a lot of possibility to continue to expand the inner geekdom categories. I think that I like that there have been a ton added even since I competed. It's expanded quite a lot. Because I do think that with the way that the league has grown over the past couple of years, you had to add more categories because it just gets to a point where if you're only doing Star Wars, Star Trek, Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, Back to the Future, there's only so many questions you can ask, and there are so many movies out there that you can add. I think it really requires you to have an open mind of what you consider to be inner geekdom. Like, I know there's a definition that people like to look at as what's a geek movie and what's not, which makes it very interesting. But at the moment, I think there's a pretty good amount of movies in there that have been expanded to. I think there's a lot of like young adult franchises though that you could still throw in there that, especially for people like, I'm sorry,
like YA dystopia.
Yeah. Like categories like that. Just because I think for someone my age, that's a big thing. I think a lot of the categories that are added immediately into Schmodown focuses on people who are of a different generation than I am, of the original competitors who grew up in a different time, which isn't a bad thing. But as you have newer, younger competitors coming in, I think different slices, like a young adult post-apocalyptic kind of category, would make a lot of sense for kind of in our age group.
Yeah, I'm someone who, I'm someone who also am very strong in my opinion that I think Twilight and Hunger Games and Maze Runner and those sort of movies, they should be in inner geekdom. That's
to me they're the same thing as Harry Potter in terms of cultural significance, and they should have their own slice, because I know so many people like who read the Hunger Games as much as they read Harry Potter, and who love the Maze Runner, and who love, those kind of movies that really, I think, fit into that same kind of category that I would love to see show up at some point.
What I'm hearing is that you really want like Robert Parker and Mike Kalinowski, Chance, and all these wonderful people to really get into the love triangle that is Team Edward.
That is exactly what I am saying.
Yeah.
And I want to make it a Patreon video where we watch them study these movies, because that is what I need in my life.
Absolutely. And then officially on Chill to Action, instead of Guy Team Bateman, we're going to go Team Edward, Team Jacob. Don't tell Paul.
As someone who has just sat down and watched the 5 Twilight movies in the last week, please no.
Okay, you guys. So there are a lot of people on this draft list, and we don't know how many more are going to be added by the time that we get to this draft. We do know that Christian Harloff is thinking about starting the minor leagues in the Schmodown. Are the minor leagues something that you all have considered?
Absolutely. I think the minor leagues, if you're not able to make it into the major league and into the Schmodown, the minor leagues are definitely a path there, because you can get to prove that I'm deserving of it. It's a better proving ground for managers to look at and not just go, oh, this guy talks a big game, but he can't back it, or can he back it up? The minor leagues are how you back it up, and it's how you show, this is my record. This is what I've got. This is who I am. Draft me based off that. And at the moment, it's hard, especially for someone like me, where, 3 years ago, I was huge within the fan leagues, but it's been 3 years, and I took a big break, and I just kind of moved away from being in the fan leagues and went more to just an analyst point of view, because that was more engaging and more interesting to me. And the fan leagues just weren't quite as entertaining or as fun for me. But now, so my record is 3 years old. I am a former champion, but it is from 3 years ago. So it's harder for me to prove now that I have that same talent and record as people like Chance or Paul or Adam. Whereas if I was in the minor leagues, I could prove it very easily.
Absolutely. I would love to see that absolutely really transfer some of those skills over for sure.
Yeah. Taylor, what about you? You think you'd play in the minors?
Yeah, I definitely don't think it's a bad thing. I think, especially if you've never competed before, I think it is a great way to kind of get your feet wet to see how you would fare in a league like this, because it is really easy to say, I'm really good at movie trivia. And then all of a sudden you're thrown into a match and it's just not what you think it's going to be. It's, it's a lot of pressure, and all of a sudden 5 seconds feels like it's not 5 seconds because you're on camera and Christian's right there, and it's a whole different thing. It's just not something that you can really prepare yourself for until you're doing it. And I can speak from experience, because the first time I did it, I thought I was going to cry. You can see my hands shaking in the video if you watch the match, because I'm so nervous. But it's so much fun, but it can also be really, really stressful. And I just don't think that some people realize, especially if you're not an actor, or you don't have stage experience, or you don't really have experience being on camera, it can be really overwhelming. And I think having a minor league is a really good idea to kind of get people comfortable, because I feel like it is different from the fan league. If you have an official minor league, it's different from a fan league because it's being run the same way, and it's being run by the same people, and you're getting used to the same format. And I think it could be really great, like you said, because then managers just aren't taking people's word for it and trying to gamble on nothing. Sometimes that works, sometimes that doesn't work.
Yeah.
So I definitely think it's a really good idea.
Nice. Well, since you both have been, you both have done Schmodown reactions, you both have created content surrounding the Schmodown, you all are old school fans. How do you all feel about the rule book being public and published?
Finally,
I know, seriously.
I say that with all due respect, and I completely understand why Christian didn't want to release it earlier. But as a fan of just sport in general, thank God we have access to this thing now. Because, and I don't know, not yet, but that we will, because a rule book is the single most important part of any sport. Like, if you don't know the rules, anyone can just
make up anything they want.
And I think last year especially, we really started to see my biggest gripe is the challenge rule, and we saw it get pushed to the absolute limit. And finally having a rule book that puts in a line in the sand that everyone has access to, including the fans, because the best thing about fans is transparency. If you're transparent, fans will call you out on stuff that doesn't fit within the rules. And, it might be annoying, but it ultimately makes the game better, and it makes the product better. And I think that's the whole point.
And can't forget how the challenge rule in particular is going to be really interesting moving forward this season, because for digital matches, some competitors would use the challenges as a legitimate challenge, not as like, oh wait, I'm challenging you because I don't think the answer is correct or the question's wonky or whatever. It's more like, I legitimately want to use this challenge because I need a timeout and talk with my manager.
Yeah.
So the reasons why people were using challenges are different than before, and versus like in studio matches, they didn't have an official timeout or anything like that, but they did have time in between rounds where they would have those few minutes in between to chat with their managers, that one-on-one time. So it's definitely being used very differently now, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And that's, I think, a big aspect of the change to digital. And I think that's kind of why you're also seeing a manager like Tom Dagnino struggle, and really struggle this year, because he has lost a lot of his power, which was the personality and the ability to just
walk into a room
and
be the only guy in the room anyone wants to look at.
Yeah.
It's harder online.
Yeah, he has just completely lost that power. And because of that, I think you've seen him struggle. And I think that's why we ultimately saw what we saw in Spectacular.
Yeah. Well, let's say that you all get drafted on a faction. You're working with your manager. You all have your. I'm just assuming that you both are going into Inner Geekdom. If you had a choice, that's the division that you're shooting for.
So I'm shooting for singles. I'd rather singles. But I'm open for Inner Geekdom. I would love to do Inner Geekdom as well, but singles is where my heart absolutely lies.
And I'm the opposite. I'm open to doing singles if I wanted to do it, but I started in Inner Geekdom and I kind of have unfinished business there still. So
yeah, well, that's just basically my question. Are you willing to work into a different division that you aren't focused on? So, and clearly you are. I like that.
Yeah. The one I am terrified of is Star Wars. Like I don't know Star Wars enough to do that, and I just could not jump into that. I mean, maybe I do one match and that's it, but I don't want to risk getting a TKO for my manager, and that's just not worth it. So Star Wars, I'll sit out.
Yeah, Star Wars is not exactly a division where Ben Bateman, where if you're given like 60 days, you can suddenly ace. That's not the way it works.
Yeah.
It's getting a lot of stuff for that 60-day job.
Well, the thing is, but I do know there are a handful of competitors. They were thrown in last minute. Well, when I say last minute, maybe they only had a few weeks notice, or sometimes a few days notice. Like I know Sean Gerber, he found out that he was going to be in an IG match like the day before or the day of, and he was like, I guess I play an IG now. And I know Craig Gainier, for playing with Gucci, he was kind of thrown in IG like 2 weeks before. So it's definitely something a lot of managers are asking their competitors to make sure that they're open. So that's good.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Look, if I like a challenge, if I got told, hey, you're going to be in the Star Wars tournament, all right, let's do it. Let's see what happens. And I would sit down. I would go through all 12 movies. I would try my absolute best. I think I'd be able to get a few. And if I had and maybe I would do okay. But it's not something where if I'm asked, hey, what do you want to be in? I'm not going to put my hand up for that. But if someone says, hey, I have an extra spot for the Star Wars tournament and I don't have anyone else to do it. Do you want to do it? Yeah, I'll put my hand up because what's the worst that can happen?
Get TKO'd. Yeah. That's the worst that can happen.
I embarrass myself.
Well, I mean, whatever. And I have nothing against competing in a singles tournament or whatever. I've been to the studio and watched these tapings so many times, and I've been to these matches and I've reacted to these matches. And as a movie person, like I hold my own pretty well when I play along with this stuff. And that wouldn't really intimidate me. It's just more when I joined the league originally, they needed Inner Geekdom players. And that's a thing that's really close to my heart. I love those movies. I love Star Wars and Star Trek and Lord of the Rings and Marvel. And I love those kind of movies. So it was something that I really jumped at the chance at when I had a chance. But as a lover of movies, I definitely wouldn't turn down getting to compete in singles because I think I could hold my own for sure.
Do you all think that with the new point system for matches, for the wins and losses, that puts a little bit more pressure on some of the rookies?
Oh, absolutely. It definitely puts more pressure on the rookies, and I think it also puts more pressure on the managers to make sure they draft the right people. And that's kind of where the thing I've been saying comes from, where it's, two or three wins is all I'm thinking of getting for this year, is because those points really disadvantage you if you don't win a game. So if you blow a 4th or 5th round pick on a rookie who thinks they're top dog, that could ultimately cost you at the end. I think the manager who's going to win this year is a manager who drafts not the greatest players, but the most consistent players.
Yes, I absolutely agree. And I think it's actually kind of perfect that we have little baby Yoda over here, Grogu. Danny said, take a step back. Yeah, I definitely think you're right. This season was like such an amazing opportunity for rookies. And we saw so many rookies succeed amazingly. So not just Adam Collins, obviously, but a few competitors return, such as Perry Nemiroff. And oh my gosh, getting, comeback, not comeback, but
upset of the year.
Upset of the year. I can't think of undercard. I'm like, that's not the word I'm looking for. But yeah, you're right. I do think that competitors like yourselves, rookies, definitely not only have to be very flexible, but it's really unfortunate, this idea that when trying to get comfortable with this virtual match process, that the idea that if you lose once in a singles match or lose once in an IG match, you might not be able to play for a very long time as a result. So you definitely have to show up, pretty quick. Do you feel like there's not just so much, obviously there is pressure, obviously, so we always put the most pressure on ourselves. We are always our own worst critic. But do you guys feel like being part of that faction family is going to be, what's going to drive it home for you guys? Is that necessarily?
I think that being in a faction definitely would help. When I competed, I was just kind of thrown in there, and I wasn't part of a faction. I didn't really know what I was doing. I kind of was just studying as best I could by myself without really knowing what was going on. And I think, that match still gives me nightmares, but I think I did pretty well. I just kind of beat myself up about it because there are questions that I didn't get right that I knew. And just things that I wish I could have proven again, like had another chance to prove myself. And I think being part of a faction would really help with that, because you have those people who have different, study tips than you do, or know different techniques than you do. And you also have that support system around you that if you do have a bad match, you have these people that are going to be there to support you, instead of just kind of being like, well, okay, that sucked, and now I don't really know where to go from here. So I do think that is really, really important.
Yeah, I think being a part of a faction and being part of essentially like, again, a Schmodown family is something that is one of the best benefits of this new system that they really brought in last year, because you've got these rookies who can come in and really learn, and again, that's what I'm broken record saying. This whole year is about learning. If any rookie who is trying to come in and be Adam Collins, it ain't gonna happen. You're gonna, maybe one might, but I highly doubt it's going to happen more often. So you want to come in and learn under these managers and have this family together, because that's just what this whole year has become, and they're your support. They're the ones who are going to get you through it all.
Support systems are very necessary.
It really is. And, it's very true. Watching that change inside of the league has improved it. So as fans, you all have been watching this for a long time. What has been one, other than adding the managers and all of this team, what else have you seen improve inside of the league that you are really looking forward to being a part of?
Oh man, I think something that
pressure.
I think something that's great. I mean, the managers, the use of managers has greatly improved the game. I think, like I know you just said with it, not the managers, but I think that is, we kind of underestimate just how big of an impact that has made in the game. But I also think this whole new draft system of you really, there's now something bigger than the championship belt. Like the championship belt is very important, but those players who are never going to be able to really fight for it have something else to fight for now, and that is the faction belt.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, kind of back to what I was just saying, like when I first competed, there were managers, but it wasn't everyone competed had a manager. There wasn't a draft system in place, and it wasn't the managers really kind of controlling how competitors came in. It was a lot of, bring a competitor in, try it out, see how it goes, and you might never see them again. And having the draft system and having kind of a concrete manager list, and that's who gets into the competition, really cleans that up a lot and gives competitors a support system. And like you said, gives them something else to fight for. If they can get those couple of points from a couple of matches, even if they aren't going to contend for a belt that season, it really gives you a good goal to work towards, other than just kind of getting your stats where you want them to be and getting practice maybe for next season. But it really makes you feel like you can contribute to your team and help bring like that family belt back to the faction.
Real quick, I do want to mention we are going to be bringing up on our other guests here very, very soon. Just want to let you guys know. But also, we did get Streamlabs very recently, so thank you so much to Barris, who donated very generously, putting in hello. So, very on brand for Ferris. And he definitely shares his love. He loves you guys. He mentioned it a handful of times in the chats how he loves you guys.
Oh. That's so
you all have been making your rounds. You got to hang out with Ferris and LGR and stuff like that. And you all used to be a part of the reactor community before. And now we're going to transition just a little bit over now. So how do you feel about this new crop of people? Like, how do you feel about the community and how much the community has changed throughout this entire showdown?
I mean, it's really been eye-opening the last couple of weeks, really like diving back into this whole community and going back into it, because admittedly I took myself out. I took away I stepped back for some personal time because just for my own mental well-being, and coming back in and seeing just how much this community has grown is incredible. And it was quite humbling and I didn't quite realize just the impact we had when on Let's Get Ready, and they were like, "Oh, thank you for inspiring us." I was like, "Wait, what?" Like, I was just an idiot. I was an idiot doing reactions on a YouTube video. Like, what do you mean I inspired you? And that it was kind of. It took me back a bit, and I didn't really react to it until we got off, and I was kind of just sitting there going, that's I can't believe that.
So it's a little surreal, because at least you were part of like Take 3. You had this whole team and you guys had this whole system, and like you did your shows. Mine was just me reacting like a moron by myself in my bedroom, like, and it wasn't even like a full analytics show. It was just me being passionate about the show. And I never, got nominated for awards or any like.
You were nominated once.
I don't think I did.
You did. Your first year, you got nominated.
What? I'll have to go back and look at that. But anyway, but like it's a whole different thing now. Like it's just transformed into this insane thing with so many people putting all their passion into it and getting together and making podcasts and making new friends and really making it this community that it kind of always was, but now it's so much bigger than when we were just starting out. Like there was only about 4 or 5 of us. I mean, back when we were doing it.
So it was to a point where when Christian nominated the 5 people, Rundown were one of them, and no one else felt they missed out. So
yeah, that was it.
that was it, and it was us. It was Take 3, Late to the Party,
the Rundown,
the Rundown, you.
And then like one other one.
Then someone else.
But no one missed out. That was it.
Yeah.
That was all that there was.
Yeah.
So it's just the amount of transformation that's happened in 3 years has just been incredible. Like It's crazy to see.
Right.
So much so that they even had to change the name of the award. It is now officially the Showdown Media Award. There's so many different platforms to do it on. Do you all think that you'd go back to doing something like that if you, for just knocking on woods here, if you don't get a chance to be a part of the league or anything like that, do you think you would ever go back to creating any sort of content?
Maybe. It would. I don't know. It would be. We'll see. I don't know if it's something that I could jump into week in, week out, making content, because I got burnt out doing it last time, and that's ultimately what caused me to take such a long break. Is we just got absolutely burnt out. And so it would, if I did, it would need to be in something where I would join up on someone else's just show and just maybe be a guest or something.
Or it would have to be more of a condensed format in terms of maybe doing a couple shows a month. Or something like that, just because I don't think people realize, you guys obviously realize, but I don't think a lot of people realize how much work and energy and sleepless nights and how much you have to sacrifice to be able to cover every single match and everything that's going on and be able to interview people and make schedules work if you guys don't live on the same coast. Like if you have East Coast, West Coast, like the amount of work and time and energy that it takes is a lot. And so I do think that if we were to get back into it, it would have to be a condensed version of maybe a couple times a month, just because we do have so much more going on now than we did back then. Back then, I was living in an apartment by myself and didn't really have much of a social life. Like, you were here in Australia by yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we live together and we have other like engagements that we do and things that we have going on. So I'm not 100% sure it's something we would be able to commit to in the way that we used to, but it's definitely something I think we could find a way to get back into that would fit our schedule.
Yeah, that makes sense. And especially with the Schmodown ramping up the amount of matches that they're putting up this next season, we're already tired. Oh my goodness.
I remember there was a week where there was about a month, and this was a couple of years ago, where they had 5 matches a week and they did it for a month. And
I did not sleep a single day.
By the end of that month, I think all of us were ready to kill somebody, because it was just you'd get up, you'd do a reaction. And here my day was, because the shows used to drop at 7 a.m. my time. So I would get up, do a reaction, go to work, come home, go to sleep, then just keep repeating that. And it was just
every single day,
every day for a month. I was exhausted by the end of it. And we're like, never again. And then
we did it again. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah.
Well, we are going to be having an incredible amount of this. This is going to be one of the biggest seasons we've ever had.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, we're having, I think it's been Christian mentioned it on SEN that we're having 3 matches a week. I'm kind of curious what that will entail specifically, but it's going to be 3 matches a week, every week for a month. And it's going to be, on top of that, 3 throwdowns, live events every single month. And like at C2A, we were like, oh, what? No, what? No.
You're already tired. Oh my goodness.
No, I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
As someone who used to do it, I can definitely appreciate that.
So everyone out there, we are going to be wrapping this up pretty soon, but we do have some questions for Taylor and Jacob from our Patreons. You can go ahead and sign up to be a Patreon at patreon.com/Call to Action Podcast right up there. It's that one. I'm sorry. It's this one right up here. So we do have a couple of questions for y'all really quickly. From Ben Rayner, what has been some of your favorite matches since season 3? Is there a dream match you would love to see that probably would never happen, like a Damon versus Sam Whitworth?
So I think my all-time favorite match that I've said this quite a few times is Rachel and Clark versus Ben and Mark at the Spectacular. Where they retained the belt, because it was a match that really solidified to everyone. No, the Shire Wolves are a legit contender, and because there was always the crap that they didn't earn their belt, which was always crap. But there were the fans who said no, they didn't earn their belts because because Sam and Drew had vacated them, and then Brienne, and they were fighting Brienne, and there was people who were just always trying to diminish the level of that belt. Whereas I think that match they went up against Ben Bateman and Mark Riley and proved to everyone we deserve this belt. So that's, I think, my favorite match so far.
There's so many good ones.
It's so good.
I think one of my favorite matches will always be Mara getting her Inner Geekdom belt. Just because I love Mara so much, and she just came in and destroyed that season. She just came in and took names and didn't mess around, and it was just such an inspirational thing to see, because not a lot of people can just come in and just take everyone down. Especially with women in the league, it's a lot harder to earn people's respect. And just being able to go in and do that, I got really emotional watching that match, actually. And that definitely is something that spurs me on to want to come back and try and perform better in that league. As for something that will probably never happen that we want to see, that's a tough question because
I always wanted the Dan Rachel match. That never happened.
Me too. Actually,
I always wanted that one, but that never happened.
You can get that actually here pretty soon. I'm gonna have a schmo bait between Dan and Mara. So comment and I just want to let you guys know about that. But I have to say, Shire Wolves versus the Patriots.
Oh
yeah, that would have been good. That would have been really good.
It's still a conversation about like who is the greatest team of all time, and the Patriots are always in the because we don't know what could have happened if they were.
I don't think the Patriots will always hold that record, and I don't think anyone's ever going to beat it. And to me, I think, as much as I hated them, you have to respect what they did because that was insane. And I don't think anyone's going to ever come close to it. And that's also because the game has changed a lot since.
It's a lot harder to do that now. I think that's a lot harder to do now.
Yes, definitely.
But anyway.
We did get a few Streamlabs real quickly as well. We actually had several like come in at the exact same time, so I apologize for being a little bit late. Eric Elaine has donated sending some love Arizona live to Taylor and Jacob. Good luck in getting drafted. You both will kill it. Jacob hanging out in backstage sent in a few saying Taylor's drunk reaction to the 5 Horsemen reveal with Earl was epic and amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I had so many people being like, is Taylor's like swearing a lot? Is this actually like, is she okay?
Right? Like,
I forgot about that. R.I.P.
Alrighty, I do have another last question of the night for you two. Thank you all so much. Unless we get a Streamlabs in just a few seconds, is from Weston Iro. Have you ever been approached by a masked figure or figures of a shadowy organization that pulls the strings of the Schmodown?
No, I have not.
Possibly.
Oh God.
But I'll never tell.
That's right. We don't bring up the Schmominati up in here.
Schmominati.
Yes. Thank you so much to all of our patrons. We appreciate you all very, very much. That is one of the perks of being our patron. You get to send in early questions. You'll get advance notices of anyone else that we have coming in, all of that good stuff, and a lot of other perks that we'll talk about later. But before we go, I just want to say thank you so much to Taylor. Not before we go. I'm so sorry. Before we let go of our guest, Taylor and Jacob, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Thank you very much for having us on. This has been awesome. I'm really glad we came on. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Alex, do you have anything else for our guest before we leave?
No, sir. I don't want you guys to give me any more information because I feel like when you guys do inevitably get drafted, I want to be that much more excited and I want to be that much more surprised. So I'm excited for you guys. Good luck.
Well, if we do get drafted, we definitely want to come back on the show and talk to you guys again.
Let's turn that if into a win.
That was why I asked if you would do content, just to be like, you know what, I'm going to put in my notes right here. There we go. Yes. Got it. Again, Taylor, Jacob, thank you so much. Good luck. Good luck in the draft. Can't wait to see more from y'all.
Thank you. See you.
Bye. Whoa. Oh, sorry. Jake is fast with the buttons. Look at that. Unless I was you on those buttons.
And guys, check them out on Twitter. They're doing a whole bunch of stuff there. So giving you guys a heads up there.
That is right. Their Twitter handles are inside of the description below. So you can go find Taylor and Jacob there. Thank you so much. That was fun. I'm very excited to see what they do. They are some old school reactors, old school people inside of the Schmodown. They've been watching this stuff for a very, very long time. So I'm excited to see what happens with them. But next up, we have two people coming on that are not so old school into the Schmodown, but we're excited to see this new school inside of the Schmodown. Ladies and gentlemen, Iman and Abby, come on in, ladies. Let's go.
That's how we feel. We have some pretty awesome people.
No big deal.
Oh yeah, Jake's fast with the handles. He knows how to do the job.
Look at that. Jake is like so on top of it. We love Jake. He's wonderful.
Yeah. Big shout out to Jake. Yes. Aman, Abby, thank you so much for coming on. Aman, am I saying that right?
Yeah, Iman.
Iman, thank you so much. Thank you, ladies, for coming on. We really appreciate it. But thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. I mean, I am nervous. Like, this is new for us. So it's exciting, but goodness gracious.
Yeah. So the Schmodown is new for you ladies, but reacting is not. You all have been doing this for quite some time now, huh?
It's been 5 years now. Yeah.
No, 3.5.
Yeah.
Like
that. Time. Let's be honest.
What is time? Before we get started, I want to bring up this really quickly from Nerd Chronic, Mr. Eric Rodriguez. It's pretty crazy to see Iman and Abby here. Feels like my own personal crossover episode. Yeah, we love that.
Eric.
Yes. For anyone out there that does not know Eric Rodriguez, Mr. Nerd Chronic, your favorite editor of the Schmodown promos that make all of us cry, also work with Iman and Abby.
Yes, we're very happy to have him, and we're like, we know about the Schmodown. Well, I think we've seen a lot of clips like back in the day. But because of Eric, he's like, you guys gotta do this. You guys gotta do this for the last 2 years?
At least 2 years.
Yeah, and we're like, I don't know. I don't know if we can, but here we are. So
yeah,
it's
no pressure with that high praise.
Yeah.
What was that?
I mean, especially from Eric.
Yeah, no pressure with that high praise, because if Eric says that you should join the league, that's a good compliment right there.
I guess. I mean, honestly, Aman and I, like, we knew Eric did Schmodown, but like we really didn't understand how much it was until like we were talking to him and like some of the higher ups, just like to get into it, get familiar with it, and we're like, oh my gosh, Eric is like straight up like the glue. He's in it.
Yeah, it's amazing just how much, like when you're talking to to people, and it's just kind of weird how you realize that he just has his finger in everything.
Yes.
And it's just, maybe it's like the freelancer in him, maybe it's just like the really cool guy in him. I'm not entirely sure, but he's just so awesome. Everyone loves the guy, with good reason.
Yeah. Well, and he's just really kind. He's just like such a kind person to know. So it's like whenever you're with him, you smile. He's one of the guys that always make you smile. So
absolutely.
100%. We've had a couple of opportunities to hang out with Eric in person in the before times, and Eric is absolutely wonderful. So I'm very glad that he introduced you all to the Schmodown, because we definitely need some fresh blood, and we definitely need some ladies up in there. So I am very glad to see you all a part of this. So now that you're getting used to some Schmodown stuff, you're getting familiar with some of it, all of that good stuff. Did you all ever watch any like wrestling growing up as a kid?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
No. Nope.
Abby, you and I are like the same. Okay.
Yeah.
I like the Hulk. Like, I'm going to bring the pain. Like him, but like everyone else, and the Rock. The Rock's great.
Wait, how'd it go again? I missed it. Can you do that again?
Can you do it one more
I'm
time?
going to bring the pain. I'm going to make you feel the pain and burn, brother.
That's the promo.
We got to introduce you to the Machmo Man.
Please.
That'll be an interesting. And asked Eric about that so he can show you some stuff if we can find anything about it.
All right.
Great stuff. So there's two types of personalities inside of wrestling, Abby. If you're not familiar with it, there's a heel and there's a face. There's the bad guy and there's the good guy. Okay. Sometimes Schmodown loves to take into that character work, all of that good stuff. If you feel like you had to call yourself someone, or if you wanted to create a character inside of the Schmodown, who do you think you could play better, a good guy or a bad guy?
Aman, what do you think? What would you?
And I think because it's like we're going into this like fresh, if we were to get in and all that, it's, I think, easier to go in as a good guy at first. And I think once you get like comfortable and people start knowing you, it's like you can go in and out, I think, at that point. that's for me. I don't know how you feel.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense because we are new faces to Schmodown. It's like you want people to, I guess, get to know your personality and
Right.
like know who you are. It's kind of hard when you're the villain. I mean, look at some iconic people in like Game of Thrones, Joffrey. Like he's probably the actual actor is great, but like he's depicted as such a bad person because everyone hated him. So it's just like, but I mean, I'd like to be a villain. I think that'd be fun at some point, but not now.
I mean, let's be honest, it's always more fun to be the villainess than the hero. I mean, let's face it, all of our favorite characters from like Disney movies.
Come on, Ursula.
They're badass ladies.
Yeah.
Like, Maleficent, Ursula. I mean, Hades. Well, Hades not a woman, but still
Cruella de Vil.
bad. Yes. Oh my gosh, Cruella.
Come on. Who doesn't like a dead puppy?
Well, we'll fix it in post.
Who wants to own a fashion empire? Okay.
There you go.
There you go. Oh, you all. So, doing your reactions online, I've seen Iman. I actually just watched your. It's your most popular video on y'all's channel. It's your reaction to season 7, episode 1. Girl, I'm sitting there with you watching this and I'm crying with you. Anyone who knows the channel, knows the show, knows me. I am a big time crier. So I very, very much enjoyed that. So you all have been in front of the camera before and you're used to creating content on the Schmodown. You're in this reactor community. So you're used to people watching you on the internet, all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
So even with that, does it still feel nervous having to do things online, especially in like a competition type of setting?
I'm always nervous. That's just, I run on that. Like, it's like anxiety. So and I think that that's healthy, because that means you're alive, you can enjoy things and you can having a big cry in front of however many people watch that. It's so embarrassing looking back, but it's okay because it's natural and it's real. You cry sometimes, but I mean, I think for stuff like this, it's like there's just that exciting nervousness. When we do our reactions, we're not live, and like we know that people are going to watch it. But I think at this point we have created it feels like we have a bunch of friends with us. Like our subscribers are our friends. That's the channel. That's the feel of it. So you're not watching alone. You geek out with your friends. You're not alone. But maybe for competition, yeah. I mean, I think that's a good thing. I think that helps you kind of it fuels you a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, Aman. I mean, before I got on here, I was super nervous. I was watching before. I'm like, oh my gosh, we have to go on here and try and cool and whatnot. But now that I'm here talking to you guys, I feel much more calm. But again, if we do get into Schmodown, it's like competition mode. It's a completely different field when you're actually there getting these, getting the questions. Because it's one thing when you're watching someone, you're like, oh, I know this question, and you can answer it. But when you're actually in it, completely different ball field. So the
idea of a timer and challenges, things like that, it's definitely a new experience that you would have to learn to get comfortable with for sure. Yeah. Have you guys ever studied movies before?
I mean, have
you guys ever been okay, director of this movie is this? I mean, that kind of, this movie was released in 1997. Kind of thing. Do you ever kind of be analytical when it comes to watching movies and studying them?
I think so. I think there's a lot of movies that I still to this day, I was just thinking about Denis Villeneuve. I was trying to figure out how to say his last name because that's a thing that is Villeneuve, I think, who he directed Arrival and a bunch of fantastic movies, and I was just there's these important things you have to know sometimes about movies, especially when you love the movie, and just even pronouncing the director's name is important. So I think there are certain movies Blue Valentine's, one of my favorite movies, and so I figured, yeah, I love crying, as we mentioned earlier. So
I think like you love. Okay,
I do.
that's what it is.
That's also right. Yeah, but I think Derek Cianfrance, he's like a big director for me. Like all of his movies so far have been like fantastic, and so you want to know who is creating the movies. So I think I've been like that since I was a kid, like just like because I wanted to create movies myself. So it's like I want to do this. So how did they do it? Like how do I get into their brain? So yeah.
Yeah, and for me, like I haven't always been strong with trivia. Like back in the day, my best friend, like her family was that family that sat down almost every night to play board games with each other, and they did a lot of movie trivia. And me being me, tried to swoop on in there and try, and they would all cream me. So like I used to be really bad with like names. Like I knew the faces, and I think a lot of people can relate to that. Where it's like, oh, I know that person. Oh, what's their name? So trivia has been difficult in the past, but I feel like I'm getting better as, you know, being an adult and remembering things better. Yeah, I mean, I like it. And I mean, Lord of the Rings, if you want to try me on that one, I'll tell you all I can. But, you know.
Noted IG potential.
I mean, if anyone ever watches Amon and I, we quote Lord of the Rings quite often, like very nerdy quoting, like getting into the character of an orc.
Oh my goodness. And I believe they are adding the extended editions to the questions for next
Is that with the Hobbit too? Or is that just all like Middle Earth?
Well, I think the Hobbit is inside of the Middle Earth category. I'm pretty sure that is all of them together. And I think that they are going to do the extended editions of the Hobbit as well. So.
I guess I should force myself to watch those again.
Have you all been watching any of the older Schmodown matches?
We have, yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's been it, and it's so funny because like while we're watching, and like I have both my boys, I have 2 boys, and we're trying to figure it out. Like they're young, so they don't know that many movies. But it's like as we're watching, I'm just like they were like, "Why are you shouting?" Like 'cause I was like, "I know this," and I was like trying to get with it, and it's just like that part of like, I think that's the cool thing about Schmodown is that it's like you said, it's like wrestling, right? It's like sports. It's like, but it's for nerds. It's for things that I really like, and like Abby and like all of us, like we're here and we're nerding out, and it's like I don't know. I never thought that could be a thing growing up because you know back in the day you're like, you like that? You like, you know, it was. Now it's cool. Do you know what I mean? To be nerdy, it's like that's the thing. But back when we were growing up, you know.
Yeah, especially being women of color or girls of color liking these things. It's just like what? You know, a lot of people, because we do a lot of anime, and it feels like Black people or people of color watching anime is kind of like a taboo. Like I always got heat for it, but all my other friends didn't. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Anime. Sorry.
I would love to have an anime slice on the wheel. I would love an anime slice. I would love it whether it be consider more of an IG thing or more in singles and teams. Regardless, I would love it. Oh my gosh, I would also love a Studio Ghibli category.
Like, yes.
Let's be on a team. Let's all 4 of us. Let's have
a faction right here, guys. Let's just do it.
Call the action faction. We got it. So you're into Lord of the Rings, you're into Studio Ghibli, all of that good stuff. What other types of movies are y'all into? Or do you just feel like movies have always been something that you're into and you're just into everything?
You want to answer first?
Yeah, sure. I mean, honestly, I think Amon and I are well-rounded. We enjoy quite a few genres. For me, like I grew up with a lot of 80s like fight movies like Bloodsport, Mortal Kombat. That was not the 80s, but no.
But no, it wasn't, but still, Mortal Kombat is a good shout out.
But like, you know, like the old school stuff. I like musicals too. Like I'm trying to get this kid into Moulin Rouge.
so good.
Don't throw me under the bus.
Bad thing, Amon. I'm just saying you'll like it.
I know.
Ewan McGregor does a great job. I'm just saying.
Yeah, Alex and I are both big fans of that movie, so we would very much love a reaction video of that.
We are planning. It's on the list.
Yes.
Nice. Love that.
I
so
would
much.
totally pay to watch it. Like everyone I know, especially women, knows that movie or at least knows a lot of the songs.
Yeah.
So I would actually love to see like a fresh perspective of someone that's completely has no idea what to expect going into it.
Yeah, I have no idea. That's why I stayed away, because I was just like, I like musicals. Like I love Grease. Obviously Disney movies and all that. Like, but there was just this thing, like maybe growing up was like that wasn't a part of like the thing where it was cool. So I stayed away maybe, but I keep hearing it's great. So I believe it.
I cried in that one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's that one between. I feel like that would be a really great double feature to Moulin Rouge and the '90s Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes. The film. Yeah, I feel like
That's a good movie. Leo in anything, honestly.
Yeah, that's really true. I'm gonna get to this super chat really quickly from Ben Rayner. Do you all have a favorite anime?
That's a really hard question.
Back here.
I know. Like
Yu Yu Hakusho will forever be my favorite anime manga. It is like legit. If you haven't seen it, see it. It's the same guy who did Hunter x Hunter. It's bomb. Like
I remember that was like one of the first animes I cried watching. Watching like some of the finales, I was like, oh.
Kuwabara always makes me cry.
What does? It's great.
Iman, is that yours as well?
I mean, I go between Ranma 1/2. That was something I grew up with. I love Peach Girl, and I have back here. Where's my hand? Here, which is a very dark but beautiful manga. I mean, so I can't choose. Yeah, you chose one. I'm sorry, I chose.
Oh no, it's okay. I mean, I can go on. I just tried to be
I know. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I could. Maybe Berserk, just because it stayed with me.
You talk about that one a lot. You talk about Berserk a lot.
Maybe because it scarred me.
That too.
Very dark. But it's great. So.
Yeah,
they're fantastic. They're great picks. Absolutely.
Okay.
I haven't read Berserk since maybe high school.
Yeah, same. That's when I started. But it's like 14, 15, and that's some intense stuff. Like you don't know what you're walking into, but you can put it down. So
yeah.
Jenny Coast is in the chat saying, "Call to anime." We have
hey, there's a lot of us out there. Like we all had to like hide kind of because like the cool kids would be like, "Oh, you like that stuff," but like now we're all open, we're all proud. Like we're wearing our shirts, wearing cosplays. Come on now, good stuff.
It's a good time to.
If you're not like in anime, like you're not even cool anymore. That's like
anime is a new cool.
So sorry.
Oh yeah, no worries. I am kind of curious though. Okay, so you guys, Abby, Iman, kind of bringing you back to Schmodown a little bit specifically. I know you guys are very new to Schmodown. You guys you're kind of in the process of kind of catching up, and you guys have been going back and watching some of the older matches and everything. Are there any particular competitors or personalities that you've kind of recently found out about that you've loved?
I mean, I kind of watched a couple team matches and I really like the Scream Queens. I know that's a little bit older. I've been trying to like find newer stuff, but it's kind of hard for me. Obviously, even with quarantine, it's been hard. But I like the Scream Queens. I watched them against, is it Garden Hose? I think that's the group. But yeah, and I like those girls. I feel like me and Amon would like want to go get a drink with those girls and like talk about it. And like especially because they like horror and thrillers, which is something I'm a weenie when it comes to scary stuff, but I love it nonetheless. Like Texas Chainsaw, like but I'm on shaking her head.
Great. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. They're so good. What about you, Iman?
I mean, I was watching Wild Berries as I hear that they're not together anymore, but I thought
very recently.
Yeah, but they're it's just a lot of charisma that it's just like they're super funny and really like great together. And like we have certain like reactor friends that are in there, like the Real Rejects.
Late to the party.
And so it's kind of cool to see them do their thing too.
Yeah,
they're really funny.
And even Eric from Blind Wave, I think he's
gonna be
yeah.
Yeah,
that'd be fun to get him. But I
also
like
by that he hadn't been in it.
Oh right, but like the whole group actually, you know.
Yeah.
I also I can't say his name. I feel like I'm going to butcher it, and I'm so sorry if he's watching this. Is it Chandru?
Chandru.
I like watching him. I watched him versus what's his name? His last name is Hannah.
Brandon Hannah.
Yeah, and he was like, you could tell he was in his oats. He was feeling himself because he's like, he went the extra mile, and Andrew's just like, oh, you know, the snake from Harry Potter. He's like Snake, and he gave like the actual mythical name for him. It's like, this man, he's showing his stuff. He's doing a good job. I like his little wizarding ways.
There's a reason why he recently won an award. Congratulations to him. He won an award for Heel of the Year.
Oh, wow.
So, again, heels, they're like, don't want to say they're the assholes, but they're definitely the bad guys in showdown matches.
Who's the bad guy?
Yes.
Oh, that's funny.
I think that match might have been before his epic heel turn, but he was the good guy before. There's the little underlinings that you see of Shanju and his heel turn, but he is the Inner Geekdom champion, and that.
See, I would like to be him at some point. Like, I mean, obviously work ourselves into it, let people get to know us. But again, that villain role at some point, like I like the dark and mysterious and mean.
Would you all ever consider the minors?
I mean, we're open, right? I mean, I don't know. I'm speaking for myself, but I don't know. What do you think, Amon?
I think we're just trying to figure it out really right now. That's really what it is. I think just like, because I feel like it's, since we are really fresh and new, it's studying right now and figuring out where do we fit in, I guess. But I think that, because I don't know, because the Inner Geekdom is intense. I feel
it is intense,
a little bit intense.
But I would like to, if I casually, like, I know Star Wars, but not as well as like obviously the real people in this that know it. Like they can name the drinks so and so had in this bar and this after that battle. I'm like, no, I know who Boba Fett is.
That takes a lot of time. So no need to back yourself into a corner. I mean, like there's a reason the amount of time and effort that a lot of these competitors really put into studying. And I mean, there's a reason why like someone like Chandru, Brandon Hannah, and, you know, Chance Ellison, these amazing competitors. I mean, they are current, former, champions for sure. We did, in the meantime, get a Streamlab and a Super Chat. I don't think we highlighted it a minute ago. It was from Andres Gallegos. Yes. Hey guys, super excited and happy to see you guys here in the draft. Welcome to the best community ever. Yes. And also from Jake Kakabea hanging out in the back. He says, love these ladies' energies. Hopefully they get drafted and I hope to see them in the league.
Oh, let's go. I will not fight anyone, I promise.
Well, you wouldn't be able to for a while because we are doing virtual matches for some time. That does make it easier for a lot of people. And it opened up a lot of opportunities behind the Schmodown to get more people inside of it. I had a question, it was in my head, and then all of a sudden it was gone. I'm so sorry.
Story of my life.
Oh my goodness. I'm so bad.
Are you guys specifically, do you like the idea of potentially, are you guys familiar with the idea of factions or anything all that much?
You can always explain it. I mean, I'm not going to
That's
hate
fair.
you.
Absolutely. I know this is like very new and you're
Yeah.
new to you guys. So a faction is pretty much like a sports team.
Okay.
So a sports team. So on a sports team, there are 12 competitors, and they all are going to represent this team essentially. And in it, there's going to be a Star Wars competitor. There's going to be an geekdom competitor, singles, teams, etc. So and they all kind of help each other and provide support to prep for matches, and they are essentially run by a coach or a manager. That's what we call showdown managers, to really kind of help them through that process. So, and I was going to say, because people that are drafted, the people that are drafting them are managers. So that's what's kind of curious.
Okay. Yeah. I think, especially going into this, it'd be nice to be a part of a community. And that just sounds like exactly what it is. So it's like, especially being newbies, having someone to kind of just be like, you know, prep this way. These are some great resources. Oh, talk to this guy because he's been through this and, you know, went against this person and yada, yada. So yeah, I think that would be beneficial, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you mean like if we're interested in like singles or being on a team, or is that what?
Oh, did I hear that wrong?
No.
No, I was saying.
Right, just as we're not competing against anyone, but just having like a team of players with you. So, but that is a good question to go into after this.
Okay.
But
sorry,
being a part. No, it's
not competitive families.
Yeah, it's man, my brain is all out of it. So, just being a part of a faction and working with other people for that support group, is that something that you would look forward to, like working with other people, having your back?
Absolutely. And I think even like just in general of right now, like during the pandemic, it's like we're all alone. So it's like nice to just have like, if that was a thing, to be able to talk to like-minded people. You know, you're learning as you go as well, and you're probably going to have a lot of fun too. So it's just, I think that's super cool. Like it's really awesome, especially right now. I think maybe in the past it was like we didn't know that this craziness would happen in the future. So actually maybe it's like a really special thing for that to be a thing now.
So I sort of figured out the last question that I wanted to ask, because we're doing things online, and then eventually if some point we get into studio matches, and Iman, this is going to tie into the question that you had just asked about singles and inner geekdom. Those are two different divisions inside of the league. Before we get to that, if we were, just for funsies, if we were in an in-studio setting, would you two want to work together as a team?
Yes.
I mean, I feel like we bounce really well off of each other. And even when we're talking like trivia, like I'll be like, oh, who is this person from here? And she's just like, that person. I'm like, of course.
Yeah, but we're like, it's like tag team. Like, you know something that I don't. It's like that. So, and I think like we're known for being together as well. So it's just like the channel, our followers, like, it's like, oh yeah, they're together. So ideally.
Yeah, ideally, but like I think the more we get comfortable, especially these factions, you know, if we get the flow of things. I mean, I guess if they wanted us to be singles now, we would try it, but you know, it's just getting comfortable and getting into the routine, you know, and learning. So
that leads into the other question: where would you feel more comfortable in a division like singles, where it's a broad range of movies that you're looking at, or into the division like inner geekdom, where it's those more, where it's still the gameplay is a little bit more intense, but there's still a select amount of content that you have to take.
And you also have the list of movies going into it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't know, what do you think, Aman?
I think that's a good question.
I mean, I don't want to like shoot myself in the foot or make people be like, ooh, sign her up for this. But like, I would like to try inner geekdom because I like specifics like Predator, Lord of the Rings. Those are things I feel like I could, or like even animated movies. Like I know they did like Big Hero 6 a lot and like Spy Guys. So it's just like, I feel if I just did a little bit more studying, I think at some point I'd like to see myself there. But I mean, I guess wherever they throw us, I don't know.
Well, I think that is something that I did kind of mention earlier, because because I know you guys are, like I said, very new to Schmodown. I'm not going to ask you like what's your favorite category or things like that. But I know it's the idea of studying movies like extensively, or the idea of being like, I got to work on my rom-coms, or I got to work on my family dramas, or whatever it might be. Is that something that excites you or more intimidates you?
It's exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting because I mean, our job is online. We know we're finally doing more movie reactions, but who doesn't want that kind of knowledge just to have? I think it's just cool to have that because you get to relate to more people, more conversation with others. So I think it doesn't hurt to learn more and broaden your horizons.
Yeah.
I would love to see how your reactions would progress or would go through whenever you are into the league and studying, because I know for a lot of the competitors that are in there now, they can't watch a movie the same way anymore. So it would be interesting to see your reaction. Be like, hold on, I have to pause it really quickly so I can write this license number down.
Oh, we already talked about notepads. Like, we're ready.
There's definitely a lot of pros being able to get a lot of information. A lot of cons, like you said, it's just like there's like a lot of little things from what I've been told. Like when you're watching a movie and you think to yourself, that quote, that's a good quote. I feel like that's going to be a question.
Yeah.
better make note of that quote. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know which. God, it might have been the Wild Berries. I don't know which one I was watching, but they had a question about Back to the Future, and it's like, what was the date on her sweater or something? I was like, oh my God.
Oh yeah.
You've got to be like, it's the details. And I was just like, geez, okay. I thought I need to step my game up a little bit here, but that's like super cool. Like being able to be like, oh yeah, this in this time frame, this is when this happens or whatever. So, but that I like that I like caught that because it was just like, oh, so that's where it goes sometimes, the questions.
Yeah.
And remember, it's cool to know all that information. Just want to reaffirm it to you guys.
That's
absolutely. I mean, I hate being that person like, oh man, who's that character? Like, I just want to like name it. So one, impress my friends. And just have the knowledge, but
I've always been the person that watches a movie and I'm on IMDb as I'm doing it. I don't even compete. I just like to like soak in the knowledge that was there for it. It's one of my favorite things to do.
Absolutely.
I know because I manage in the fan leagues. I have 6 competitors in my little faction family kind of situation, and it's a process. You know, it's definitely having that relationship with competitors and working with competitors that are actively trying to learn and adapt and strategize. It's so much fun. So I'm so excited for you guys.
We're excited. I mean, I think once you, maybe after your first match, you feel calmer, and then like you're like, okay, these are the things to really look out for. So like you will be writing those things down or remembering quotes from something a bit more, which I don't know. I don't see that being a bad thing yet, but of course I'm not one of the pros who does this for like a living. But yeah, I think that would be pretty cool, honestly.
Just give it time.
Yeah. Patience. It's not like we're going anywhere. It's not like I can get on a plane and go to California.
It's like the perfect time, right, to study, watch as many movies as possible.
Yeah.
Do you plan to have your kids involved, Iman, your 2 boys, in the training process?
Cheering.
They're gonna ask you, hey, this Disney movie, describe it.
Yeah, actually, honestly, yeah, my oldest, he's 8 and he just watched Avatar and The Legend of Korra, and so and we're reacting to it right now, and so I was like, you can't say anything, and so because we can't have spoilers, and he's been really good, but he has like that sponge, like his brain is just like, kids are amazing.
Yeah,
he just remembers, so he'd help me for sure.
Yeah,
we can make a game out of it for sure.
Good study times, hanging out.
Yes.
Well, ladies, we are going to be wrapping this up soon, y'all. So make sure that you get your questions in the chat or in Streamlabs, Streamlabs. I always forget what it's called. All of that good stuff, so we can get to know these ladies just a little bit more before we bounce out. But with the before we leave, before we do any of that, ladies, with going into this, I think it would be so much fun to see you all compete and all of that good stuff. Do you all have a favorite movie?
I think that's like the hardest question of the night, Dane.
It is. It's a hard question. To pick one movie or to try to pick out of any of a good plethora of what you have. Words. Anyways, my favorite movie always changes. It changes on the day. It's one of those things.
I mean, I'm really a fan of Del Toro, so Pan's Labyrinth is one I can always swing back to. I usually watch that one often enough. I mean, besides Lord of the Rings, which again, that's a staple for me and Amon, but like, yeah, those kind of fantasy movies like that, and like Hellboy, or like another one where it's just like, it just warms my heart to watch those. So yeah, I think those are some iconic ones I like to go back to.
Great picks, absolutely.
It's a good question. I think because we have said the Lord of the Rings, like I don't want to say Lord of the Rings.
Well, but if you want to, if that's too hard, you can narrow it down to one of the trilogy, or you can just say
that's hard.
They're all one movie.
Yeah, I look at it as one movie as well.
Yeah, so, one movie. Don't taboo that.
Yeah. Oh God. The Lord of the Rings is like my favorite movie. But I'll just say Hook. Let's just put that. Let's just say Hook, because that's something that is super nostalgic for me, and I of course everybody. Yeah, I mean, one of my first crushes, Rufio. There. It's like one of those movies. It just ages well. It's forever. It's timeless. So. It always gets me in a good mood as well, and just you're gonna say something?
I would have thought you would have said Edward Scissorhand, our boy Johnny Depp. You know
that is that. You're right. That is, yeah.
But I mean, there's so many good ones. So honestly,
actually, I love Edward Scissorhands so much. I can't. But you guys, those are good questions. I always feel like that's so hard to answer, but Hook, Edward Scissorhands, so many.
Those are great. I love Hook. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. I could probably say that it's my favorite Spielberg movie, just to say it. But there's plenty of times where I always tell myself, "Run home, Jack. Run, Jack. No, you idiots! You've got it backwards." Oh, man, Jack's my favorite line from any movie. It's so good.
Yeah, honestly, the meme, the iconic thing that they do with when he's imagining the food, or like they're sitting at the table. It's like, "You're doing it, Peter."
Oh, yes.
I say this with all love in the world, but you guys are both wrong. The correct answer is Jurassic Park. Okay, that is the best Spielberg movie.
I mean, I get you. I understand you.
I'm sort of fight you or something. No.
I mean, if we like T-Rex fight, I'll fight you that way. Like no arms.
In those suits.
We can have like a T-Rex fight over like who can make the best like bed. Like, pictures of like T-Rexes trying to make bed.
Oh my god! Or like making it like what, a peanut butter jelly sandwich, like trying to do that, just like.
Poor buddy. I don't know what happened to my friend.
I'm crying, guys.
All right, so for the next hour, we're gonna start talking about Avatar and the Legend of Korra. Woo!
Ooh.
Oh well, see, now you got me all excited.
Good.
I know. I'm like, all right.
Oh my gosh. So are y'all watching that right now? Like, are you done with that?
We're watching Legend of Korra right now. We just finished Avatar, then we watched the infamous movie that shall not be.
I'll be right back. Sorry.
And we're in the middle of Legend of Korra right now.
Nice. What season are you on in Legend of Korra?
We're on this book 2 still.
Nice.
But we're almost done with it. Yeah, it's been great.
I just started watching those at the end of last year, and I breezed through them. Oh my goodness.
Was it your first time? Or
it was, yeah. I didn't watch it when I was a kid, did not catch it when it was on Nickelodeon. So
I'm so glad a lot of people are watching it for the first time as adults. There was this conversation. I remember my husband, he introduced it to me when I was in college, forever ago. And it was since like coming to Netflix and things like that, a lot of people are discovering it for the first time as adults. Like a lot of people have never seen, I know it's not technically an anime, but I know a lot of adults would be completely disregarded, being like, well, it's made for kids, it's animated in that style, why would an adult watch that? Right. And I'm like, you get your shit together and watch it. And it's a show that really changes the game for a lot of people that would have never considered that genre until
you're talking about Avatar.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. That's, I don't know, that one makes you cry a lot too, because like you see these young kids go through this journey, and like Aang, I don't know, something about because like I'm sure you guys remember the guru scene where he goes, not to spoil, sorry, spoiler, but him having to kind of face his inner demons is so relatable. And like the advice they give you for like, guilt, how do you let go of your guilt and all that? It's just like, it's iconic. So it really is for adults, because you feel like this 12-year-old little boy, little nomad, and you're like, I know what he's feeling. So that's iconic.
Like there's a lot of adult themes. There's a lot to be taken away from it. There's a lot of adult themes in these characters and stories, and it's not always focused on children. Mm-hmm. So there are children, but it's not focused on children exclusively.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of animation just in general. I love to watch Disney Pixar movies, anything like that, anything that's considered animation. I'm a huge fan of watching of. It's an art, and I very much appreciate it. And not just because some might consider them just cartoons, they're not necessarily just for children, and you can get some really good storytelling out of animation. And I think that's really what Avatar and Legend of Korra really did through some of its animation as well.
Yeah, I agree. That's like, I wish more people wouldn't count out animation, because honestly, you can feel more from that when they even, I don't know. It's just something about how they can create these stories and make them whimsical, but at the same time, make them very real for people to relate to. I think that's a bonus. And those people work very hard. So kudos to them.
Got a lot of anime talk coming on.
We're Avatar.
Anime.
One animation that genre that doesn't get as much light as it should is stop animation, because like, I mean, we have Leica here. It's in Hillsboro. We're in Portland, but I think Leica's from Hillsboro. But like Coraline, Paranorman, Box Trolls, Kubo, like those are such beautiful pieces as well that take, I don't know if they take more time than like normal drawing, like 2D, but man, those are, I don't know if you've ever watched like the ending credits where they like show all the little movements they have to do for these characters, but it is amazing. So that's like another part of animation I wish would get more, credit, more love, I guess.
Anytime that comes up, I like anyone.
You're going to.
Well, anytime anyone is like, yeah, I love Tim Burton, I love Nightmare Before Christmas, and I love Coraline, I'm like, you don't love Tim Burton, you love Henry Selick. One. Right there.
Down.
Okay. But yeah, you're right. It's definitely not only just underappreciated, but it's just so difficult. It's such a difficult art form.
Yeah.
It takes so long. It took like Kubo and the Two Strings took like 3.5 years to do. And just because it is in stop motion, that style and everything, it's just so painstakingly difficult. And it requires so many specific specialists to do it. Like for Coraline, they knit all the clothes.
Yes, I know. Oh gosh, that was intense.
I'm like,
it makes you really understand and appreciate Ben Wyatt's breakdown.
Yes.
I don't know if y'all are familiar with Parks and Rec, but that's the little
yes.
2.5 seconds.
I can't remember the song.
Wednesday or whatever it might be.
Oh, man.
That was awesome.
Good stuff. Ladies, thank you so much for coming in and hanging out with us tonight. New to this Schmodown stuff, do you have anything to say to any of the big higher-ups? If the Schmominati is watching, if you could tell them anything, what would you ladies want to tell them?
Will there be food? No, I'm sorry. That's so inappropriate.
No, it's great.
No.
That is actually legitimately, yeah.
I mean, come on, you gotta feed. But oh man, I don't know, Aman. What do you?
I mean, like, thanks for paving the way. I mean,
Yeah.
if this didn't happen, then yeah, we wouldn't have this chance. And like, this is just surreal. I'm just sitting here. I'm like, what the heck are we doing? This is crazy. I just like from last year to here, whether we get drafted or not, this is still like super awesome. Like, I don't know, but yeah, I feel like hi, maybe say hi.
Hello.
We're here and we love movies and we'd love to be a part of it. So
yeah, I guess thank you for making it inclusive, because I just feel just watching so much, you just see so many different people, and that's just what makes it that that much more great. It's just the fact that it is a community, finally learning more after Eric has been like, watch it, do this, come on. But like learning about this community has been really, really eye-opening for me. And, at least I've mostly delved in like anime reactions, and obviously we're branching out, but it is really cool to just see so many different people, like, the Rachels and the, what's his name? What is it? John
Roka?
Yeah, Roka. Thank you. Like just so many different people, and like they play the characters, but then at the end of the day, we're all friends. So it's like, it's just really cool to see that. So thank you. Like what Aman said, thank you for paving the way, really, honestly.
Can I make a request for you guys on your show? Like, sure. I would love to see a live reaction, or I would just love to see you guys just react and like tweet at us or something like that. You guys, your reaction to Team Action whenever you get to it.
Yes.
Team Action?
And your guy, I would just love to see how you guys react to those characters. They are from like several seasons ago. It's a long way ago. But they were like an aggressive heel team. And I would be curious to see some outside perspective.
They are actually our namesake team. So we are a fan podcast. We've all been fans of the Schmodown for a very, very long time. Team Action, when they came onto the league, we were obsessed with them. So we created a podcast dedicated to them, Call to Action.
Oh, that's cool. Fun fact here.
Yes, cool. We're definitely going to have to get y'all's reaction to some Team Action matches for sure.
All right.
We'll put that.
Sounds accepted.
Yeah.
Well, Iman, Abby, thank you so much, ladies, for coming in and hanging out with us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
For having us, yeah. This is it's nice to also just chat with the girls,
the ladies.
Yes, and we definitely wanted to highlight some good representation out there and make sure that you get your pretty faces out there and let everyone know who you are.
Thank you.
Gosh darn.
All right, ladies, we'll see you in just a bit. Thank you so much.
All right, bye.
Woo! I don't know if Jake is, but there he goes. Hello! We did it! Alex, that was fun.
It was a little bit. It wasn't too shabby,
That was great. Got to know some people on the draft. I got to know Taylor and Jacob a little bit more. Iman and Abby are wonderful. Oh my God, I want to be friends with them all the time.
Yes, absolutely. All these competitors that we ended up hanging out and chat with today are so much fun. I'm excited to see where they're going to go, whether it be in the minor leagues, potentially when that happens, but also in Schmodown as well. I would have loved it. I can't wait to see more fresh faces within Schmodown in general.
Yeah, me too. Well, thank you so much for everyone that's been hanging out with us inside of the chat. We're going to cut it short a little bit tonight. We love you. We appreciate you. Don't forget that you can sign up for our Patreon at patreon.com/call to action. all of that good stuff. Make sure that you sign up there. I'm gonna give a shout out to all of our current Patreons right now: Brandy Parker, Jeff Altman, Brendan Buckingham, Austin Cadell, Oscar Romo, JJ Winward, Movies on TV, Philip Gustafan, Maxwell Haddad, Jeremiah Morris, Brian Chandler, Corey Morris, John Lestrina, Darren Wright, Party J, Davlin, Team Action, Weston Iro, Ben Rayner, Donnie A, Jonathan Caro, Jack Mary. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us. We love you all. We appreciate you all. Alex, do you have anything to say before we leave?
Guys, thank you so much again, and everyone hanging out in the chat. Just saying, we're also doing a thing in the Patreon for the patron. Everyone that's participating in our Patreon, we're doing these movie challenges, watching movies outside of our comfort zone. I'm actually watching the movie, the really the intense family drama, The Farewell, and I'm watching Predator for the first time here.
Oh my gosh, really? For the first time?
I've never seen any of the Predator films. Wait, scratch that. I've seen Predators from like 20.
The Adrian Brody one?
Yeah, I've seen that one. That was like in college or something. Yeah, but I remember really, really liking it, but also was told that was a trash movie. And so I look back and I'm like, well, I liked it, so
It's one of those good bad movies, and so you're either on the fence. Either it's the bad good, or it's the good bad on it. Ooh.
Yeah, I just like surprise. I like movies about bad people doing bad things. Surprise.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it, but the cameo that got cut short in that movie was a big bummer for me. That's where I checked out at.
Yeah.
Yes.
Totally understand. So guys, that's something. If you like to challenge yourself in watching new movies outside your comfort zone, definitely check that out.
Yeah, let them know where they can find you, Alex.
You can find me on Twitter at @real_AlexMack. You can also find me co-hosting the show called Cinema Bias every single Tuesday with Drew Krantz, aka Video Drew, where we dive into movies outside of our comfort zone. And I'm going to be watching for the movie Blazing Saddles for the first time in like 15 years. So
yay. Y'all know me. It's your girl, Danny Joy. You can find me on Twitter at DannyJoy, DANIEEJOY. You can also find me here on the Call to Action Network every other Sunday now, hosting Chill to Action with my favorite co-host, Mr. Paul Denuzio. We will not be here next Sunday, but tomorrow you can check us out. We are doing another rookie roundup where we're going to be talking to some people on the draft, and you can see Paul and Kelsey doing that. That'll be tomorrow. And then the Sunday after that, the 24th, we will be having Marisol McKee come on, so check that out. Yeah, or I'm sorry, I might actually have that wrong. See, this is why I'm not allowed to do shows other than Call to Action. I think I do have that wrong on who it is. Marisol is coming on Chill to Action, though. I'm just not sure if it's the 24th or the 31st now, so sorry, and I don't want to spoil the other person who is coming on, so big surprise for that one. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us again. We love you, we appreciate you, and as always, we salute you.
Wear masks.